What is going on, everyone? Nero again. Here for you, some Call of Duty Black Ops, playing some Domination, this time on the map Summit, and we are joining this game late. And it's not a pretty sight when we first joined in. We're down by just under 40 points or so, and it gets just worse from there. And it was probably the closest game I've played in a very, very, very long time. And one of the questions I got for last week's Dear Nero was, hey Nero, what do you like better? Do you like Domination the way it is in Black Ops 2 with the halftime and the 2-round system, or do you like it the way it is in every other Call of Duty where it's just first team to 200? And I didn't answer it in last week's Dear Nero, but I do like it a lot more when it's first team to 200, because if you join a game late like this, there's actually a legitimate chance of you making a comeback. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it is a very, very close match. Very, very close. And it's myself, it's Foxhound, and a subscriber named Bengals, and we ended up joining this game late. And it's a fun one. I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay. But welcome to this week's episode of Dear Nero, a weekly series here on my channel where you guys send me in fan mail, fan questions. I am still rather ill at the moment. I still have that head cold, but I feel a lot better than I did yesterday. So I think it'll be a good episode this week. And this is actually the 60th episode of Dear Nero that's gone up on my channel. Where does the time go? Well, let's hop onto this with the first question. He writes, Dear Nero, I saw that in about 10 years, a company called Mars One will be sending 5 people to Mars to live there and finish out the rest of their lives. There have been over 200,000 people from 140 different countries that have filled out applications to go. My question is, what do you think about this? Jackson from Missouri. So this is actually a thing. They want to send some people up to Mars. What do you say, 5 people? I've heard about this. I didn't know the exact numbers. By the way, this game was like super laggy at the beginning. Yeah, this is actually a thing. In about 10 years, people are going to be going to Mars, and they're going to live there. They're going to be the first people to settle on Mars. And what do I think about this? Cool for them? Hell no for me. Now, to me, this seems as though, like, you might as well be killing yourself, right? Everything you know on Earth, everything that you know, everyone you know, everything you know, anything about your life is going to be completely changed. Moving to Mars. I can't believe this is the thing. I can't believe there's so many people that are willing to take everything in their lives and just throw it away to go live in a pod on Mars, right? Because it's not like you're going to be allowed outside. You're going to be in some building on a different planet the rest of your life. Now, these 5 people end up going, they will be immortal. Not immortal as in like they'll never die, but their legacy, they'll be immortal in the sense that the way Martin Luther King Jr. is immortal, in the same way that George Washington is immortal, the same way that any famous person, the way that Hitler is immortal, but of course what they're doing is not horrible like what Hitler's did, but they're immortal in the sense that of course they are so famous that people learn and talk about them for centuries on, even after their own death. They will be immortal in that regard. But no, I would never. Are there any of you that would actually be up for that? To take everything you know, everything you've worked for, everything in your entire life, and throw it away and go live in some kind of pod on Mars? That's nuts. I couldn't even imagine doing that. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, you've been talking a lot about fantasy football lately, and I was wondering if I could join your fantasy football league next year. This doesn't need to be on Dear Nero, just a simple reply would be awesome. David from Florida. And one more thing, them Browns! So the Browns did win this week, and it was a hell of a game. It was good stuff when the Browns won this week. So fantasy football is fun. And I kicked around the idea of doing a fantasy football league with subscribers, but I wasn't sure how many people even would be interested in it or even know what fantasy football is. When I do videos discussing football, people don't like really to see it. When I did the video on the Trent Richardson trade, which is one of the biggest, it's definitely the biggest trade this year, but it's one of the big blockbuster deals in the NFL in the past 5 years or so. And it was one of my least viewed videos in a very, very, very long time. A lot of people just aren't interested in football. The people that watch me, they're more interested in esports and not real sports. If I get a big enough of an interest, then of course, next year we can do a fantasy football league with subscribers. That'd be fun. Of course, it'd probably be like an online draft or something along those lines. But it'd be pretty fun, I think. We could probably get that swinging next year. We'll see about it. We'll see. We'll see if people want to do it. Next question. He writes, Dear Nero, Would you rather be the United States president or a Pokemon trainer? Brandon from Oklahoma. Is this even a contest? Pokemon trainer. If I'm a Pokemon trainer, that means Pokemon exist. Think about that. Think about that. Think of a world where Pokemon exist. Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty freaking cool world, isn't it? I think I did a question on a way earlier episode of Dear Nero. It was, if you could pick, if Pokemon were real and you could pick any Pokemon to be like your Pokemon, like, you know, like your starter or whatever, like the Pokemon that you just happen to have with you, who would you pick? I think I picked Bulbasaur, because Bulbasaur was always my favorite growing up. But there's just a lot of crazy options, right? Like, what if someone picks Gyarados? Like, what if you live, like, next to Lake Erie or, like, next to the ocean or something, and someone has a Gyarados or something? That'd be creepy. That'd be scary as hell. What if tentacles were a real thing? Like, the water had, like, these tentacle jellyfish things in there, and tentacruels even. Those things were, like, 7 feet tall or something, if I remember right. That would be crazy. But, yeah, if I were a Pokemon trainer, that means Pokemon would have to actually exist. Unless, of course, I'm running around using my imagination. Then, in which case, that would just be creepy, and I'd rather be the United States president. But, of course, I don't want to be the president, because that is a lot of decision-making. Then again, the presidents, just like people that are going to go to Mars, they are essentially immortal. People will be talking about them hundreds of years after their own death. So that'd be kind of neat. But the way of the country, people trying to assassinate me, and even after you're done being president, right? Like George W. Bush, I mean, he hasn't been president for a while now. And he's still, you know, Secret Service, you know, is at his ranch in Texas. You know, they, you constantly need, like, protection from, like, the Secret Service and the CIA just because you were the president. And even though you're the president, I'll make up a number. I know George Bush wasn't this long ago, but any president, like, let's say you were president 30 years ago, you know, there's still people out there that are crazy. They probably want to kill you, and they know where you live and stuff. So, being a president's a lot of responsibility. So, Pokemon trainer definitely would be awesome. Let me know in the comments, Pokemon trainer or U.S. president, because I think U.S. president is obviously the weaker choice. Next question. He writes, Dear Nero, on your Grand Theft Auto 5 playthrough, when you first met Chop, you said that you get emotionally attached to animals in video games. So I was wondering, do you own a pet in real life? And if you don't, do you have any intentions on getting one anytime soon? Assuming that you can afford one. P.S. Keep up the great work on both your main channel and your Let's Play channel. Love your videos, and Chop for the win. Sincerely, a subscriber from Florida. So the GTA playthrough, what he's referencing is Chop is a Rottweiler. It is Lamar's Rottweiler. This isn't a spoiler or anything. This happens like in the first like 30 minutes of the game. It's not even like an integral part of the game. It's just a part of it, I guess. And we're walking with this dog, and we're hopping into this van, and the dog's sitting in the back of the van. I'm like, that dog better not die. I'm already emotionally attached to that dog. The dog's my best friend now. And I don't know, it was just a fun part of the Let's Play that people found funny. And do I have pets in real life? I do. I have 4 cats. 4 cats. We had 3, but then I got my new kitten. Her name is Stormy, and she is adorable. Although she's not much of a kitten anymore. She's growing up really, really, really fast. So that's a thing. But yeah, I have pets. 4 cats may seem like a lot to a lot of people, but depending on the kind of house you live in, having 4 cats is not even really that many animals. The only time it seems like having that many cats at one time is like a big deal, or that's too many, is when you feed them, then all 4 cats are in the kitchen eating other bowls and whatnot. But other than that, you know, it's a 4-bedroom house I live in, so you never even see like 2 cats next to each other. It seems like it. I like animals. I've had many animals growing up, a lot of different kinds of cats, and we've had a couple dogs. We had Great Pyrenees, we had a Rottweiler, and my grandparents who lived across the yard from me, they had a black lab and a yellow lab, and I can't remember the one kind of dog they had. I was really young when they had it. But yeah, I've grown up around animals, and I like pets. And my dream animal is probably a Siberian Husky. Those things are awesome. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I am no longer a Call of Duty fan, but I enjoy your videos greatly. Recently, I have been thinking to myself what made me start playing the game originally, and that makes me want to ask you, what made you originally start playing COD? Cheers, mate. Nathan from Australia. So what got me into Call of Duty initially was my cousin. I went over to his house one day, and this is back before I was really into gaming. I had a PlayStation 2, and what I would end up playing oftentimes was like Madden. And I think I had like The Godfather and maybe San Andreas and stuff. I barely played my PlayStation 2, excuse me. And I went over to his house, and he had an Xbox 360, and he was playing Call of Duty 3 online. And I was like, whoa, this is awesome. It's a war game, because I played Medal of Honor games on the PlayStation. And it's a war game, which I thought was awesome. But he's playing it against other people, and he's killing other people. I'm like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. And I started, he let me play, and of course, a lot of people are this way. I wanted to be the sniper. When I watch like war movies and stuff, the sniper is usually the coolest character, so I wanted to be a sniper. I'd be like laying in the back of the map somewhere and getting like 2 kills a game, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. And that Christmas, when that Christmas came around, I got an Xbox 360 and Call of Duty 4, because it came out that year in 2007. And the rest is history. Now I'm on YouTube playing video games for a living. I like Call of Duty. I realize I ran over the gameplay. We got some more questions to answer though, and I'm feeling chatty, so we'll put some filler gameplay on there for you guys. But that was a good comeback, right? That was a pretty sick comeback, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel as though I was personally responsible for a lot of that comeback. I was going bacon, eggs, and ham that game. But yeah, that's how I got into Call of Duty. Yeah, my cousin was playing it. I played at his house, and I'm like, Mom! 2007, how old? I would have been like 15 or 16 when that happened. And I'm like, Mom! Yeah, I want an Xbox 360 now. I want to play a Call of Duty online. It looks like so much fun. And it was. It was a lot of fun. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I know in your videos that you have said that you live in Pennsylvania. My question is, what is the furthest place from Pennsylvania you have been, either for vacation or some other reason? Eric from New Jersey. So the farthest I've ever been from Pennsylvania, originally, it wasn't really that far. Originally, it was Niagara Falls, which is well, half in Canada, half in the United States, I guess, which is just above New York there. But the farthest I've ever been from Pennsylvania was in the summer of 2008. Yeah. When was that? It might have been, I don't remember which summer it was. If you're a football fan, and you can maybe Google this. Of course, I'm not going to Google it in the middle of the recording. But it was one of the years that Jeff Garcia played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because we went down to Tampa, Florida. And we went down there for my great-grandmother's 90th birthday. And we have a lot of family in Florida. And this is my first time ever actually going down to Florida. We flew. And it was awful because I hate flying. Flying is horrible. I don't like heights. I am... In some cases, I get vertigo. Like, we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. And I got, like, this horrible vertigo when I was in there. And vertigo, if you don't know, it feels like... How do you describe vertigo? It feels like you're going to fall off of something. Even though you're walking, like, down the street. And you feel like you're going to fall off of, off of that street. It feels weird. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe vertigo. The best way is probably... You know the feeling when you feel like you're going to fall over. You feel like you're on top of something, it's not sturdy. You feel like you're going to fall off of something, that kind of feeling. You feel that even in an area in which there's nothing to fall off of. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame did that for me. Because the way the building, if you've been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the way the building is like, it's really weird. The architecture is just crazy in that building. And it feels like you're going to fall down. Like at least it did for me. And my mom as well, because she apparently also has vertigo, but my brother didn't. Strangely enough. He was fine. But yeah, so we were flying, and I had the window seat, and I don't like flying. I didn't like it. I don't like heights, and I'm up there, and what is it, 37,000 feet? And it's so high up in the air, and yeah, flying was awful. Then we finally made it to Florida, and when we got off the airplane, there was this tiny little window. Well, window's kind of a metaphor here. This tiny little window when we're walking off the plane and going through this little tunnel. We had like a 10-foot gap between that tunnel and actually being in the airport. And so for that 10 feet, we were actually like outside in the, in the Florida air. And holy mother of humid. It is hot down there. I'm from Pennsylvania, and when I went down to Florida, it was like 95 degrees with like 90% humidity. It was awful. It was really hot that whole time. One of the things I've noticed that was different about Florida as compared to Pennsylvania is that everything is air conditioned down there. Everything has central air. Every vehicle, every store, every house is air conditioned. So that's nice, but it's still hot and unholy, just humid down there. But yeah, that's as far as I've been. And while we were down there, we went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers training camp and checked that out. It was cool. Jeff Garcia was there. Had his autograph on a football, as well as some other players. I think Joey Galloway played for them that year too. Yeah, it was a few years ago. And the final question for this week's episode of Dear Nero is, Dear Nero, who do you like more in Grand Theft Auto 5, Franklin or Michael? It doesn't have to be on Dear Nero. A reply would be fine. Tony from New York. And so far, in my experiences with the game, I would say Franklin is a little bit more fun than Michael. And the reason I think I like Franklin more than Michael in Grand Theft Auto 5 is Michael's already kind of established, you know? If you're playing the character, it's almost like a role-playing game, right? Like, you kind of like put yourself in the perspective of the person you're playing as. Michael already has a house, he's got a wife, even though she's a whore, and a daughter, and a really annoying son. Well, I guess the daughter's annoying too. Whereas Franklin, he's kind of on his own, and he lives with his aunt. And you can do with that what you will. You know, if you were to move out, it'd be like Franklin moving out for the first time. You can buy your own house and stuff. If you were to go buy houses for Michael and go like live in those houses, it's just kind of weird. Like, I commit to the character a little bit, like in my head while I'm playing games like that, and it would just be weird. Like, Franklin's kind of a loner. Go do whatever you want with Franklin, as compared to Michael, who's already kind of settled down as a family and whatnot. So between Michael and Franklin, I think I'm gonna pick Franklin. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this week's episode of Dear Nero. A little bit of a longer one. People seem to like the longer episodes. If you did, remember to leave a rating where you guys feel it deserves. And if you guys like your question featured on next week's episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube with the tagline reading Dear Nero. If it's a good question, an entertaining question, of course I will go ahead and try to do my best to answer it, especially if I haven't answered it yet before, because we are 60 episodes deep here on this series, which of course is it's a pretty long series, and I'm really happy that this series is taken off a bit, and that I've done 60 episodes and people are still interested to hear different thoughts and opinions on things. It's pretty neat. But don't be afraid to send in messages. If I don't answer your question, maybe send it again the next week, because usually I get a lot of good questions, but I do in fact read every single message you guys send me for Dear Nero. So I hope you guys all enjoyed. Remember to leave a rating, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.
I was banging 7 gram rocks, that's how I roll. I got one gear.